Hello and welcome to Sister Chat Talk Show, a topical talk show for sisters of today. My name is Rosie Powell and I'm your host along with my sisters with me. I'm going to introduce them shortly, but we have Dahila, Dahlia Anderson and Primrose Roberts, sisters with the mostest. That's what I should call them this evening. It is, what's the 30th of November? My God, winter is upon us. And it really does feel like winter, doesn't it? You can really feel
it does.
And the air, and I've even had to put the heating on, which is amazing. But yeah, I've had to put the heating on. So you're listening to Sister Chat Talk Show, a topical talk show for sisters of today, and we are on YouTube now, and we are on LWR Talk Radio. So check us out on Facebook. Also, you can see all our lovely, lovely sisters, their photos, and just a little bit about them. So we have Primrose Roberts, as per usual. Hi, Prim.
Hi, Rosie. Hi, Dahlia. Good to be back. It's been a little while. Yeah, it's been great, and excited about today's show.
Yeah, lovely. And Dahlia, how are you?
I'm very well, busy as usual. Just about getting used to the cold. So I'm usually in Miami in the heat. It has really dipped, the weather, putting on the heating just like yourself, Rosie, and wrapping up. So,
yes. It's that time of year, isn't it? You know, where the cold air is just coming in, and it just feels really, really cold. But anyway, we're going to warm up this evening with our Sister Chat Talk Show. And today we're going to be talking about all sorts of things that we normally talk about. Dahlia is going to be talking about her cookie box kits, and she's going to tell us all of her exciting news about that. And Primrose is going to do a feature on well-being, and she'll tell you more about that as well in a minute. So, welcome to Sister Chat Talk Show, a topical talk show for sisters of today. And you'll catch us on the last Thursday of the month on LWR, and you can now catch all the shows on YouTube. Not all of the shows, because I haven't got round to uploading them, but the last few shows you can get up on YouTube. So please check us out on YouTube. And check us out on Facebook page as well. So it's really lovely to have you here this evening. And before I go on and say a bit more, I'm going to do my usual pop quiz madness. So,
what we got today?
Yeah, it's the 30th of November, and today is Cities for Life Day. Don't ask me.
Wow, Cities for Life Day.
What does that mean? For a Life Day, I've got no idea. I don't know where I get these things from. It's also Computer Security Day. And it's also National Stay at Home Day, and Because You Are Well Day. So I don't know what that means, but you know me, these little pieces of trivia you all needed to know that. Normally it's Mango Day or Banana Day, isn't it? But today we've got
I don't know who decides I don't know who decides, you know, what day a thing is, you know.
I don't know. I really don't know, honestly. But I will say that if ever you enter any pub quizzes or, you know, all these little trivias, you'll probably think, oh, yeah, I remember that. I know the answer to that. I know what day it is. Somewhere along the line, these things are going to come along. So you well, everybody?
Yes, very well. Thank you very much, Rosie. And from Rose, I'm very well. I'm very excited because Christmas is actually coming. And this is an opportunity for businesses who have products and services to actually push them. So it's a very nice time of the year. And I love doing decorations. I love Christmas trees. I love getting ready for doing that rum cake that we normally do once a year.
Yeah. Have you started the rum cake? Have you done it? Have you begun? You should have begun it by now.
So behind this year. I normally soak my fruits about at least 6 months before, but I was rushing around trying to get the brandy and the whiskey and all the rest of the bits to soak my fruit. So this year, I hope the cake turns out all right. It's in soak at the moment.
Are you in London this year, or are you up in Manchester this year?
Up in Manchester this year.
Yeah.
Manchester
right. So you're going to be carrying everything up there?
Well, no, just me, myself and I, really, and probably one more cake. Everything would be bought there.
Yeah.
we'll enjoy it with our family. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds lovely. Sounds really good.
And you, Primrose?
Yeah, I seem to get a bit of an annual little flu bug around November, but I had it for about 48 to 72 hours, and I just felt really shivery and cold and headachy and stuff like that, and ended up in bed for a couple of days just to kind of get rid of it, and I kind of got it worked through my system. But I think it's just this time of year, isn't it, when these things are floating around. But I'm well, I'm okay, and been quite busy with speaking to lots of people, networking, going to networking events. People wanted to know about my business, individuals as well as companies. So I'm hoping, that will continue, and more business that comes through, the better. I think 2024 is going to be my year.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
think it's going to be
Manifest it, and it will be so.
Yes, it will be my year. I've done a good couple of years of lots of attending events. I was at the business show again.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I didn't have a stand this time, but I went in as a member of the public, and it was good. I had my information. I was just discussing things with people. So lots of promotions and discussions. I've not been on social media for a little while. I had a little bit of a break, but I'm due to get back in now, so that I don't want people to think I've disappeared.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to have a stand in those things. You can use it as an opportunity to smooch around and network. And
oh, absolutely, that's what I did. That's what I did,
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
business. Sometimes the outlay is expensive, but you can take
the outlay is very expensive, and I thought, no, I've paid for my spots and done what I could do. So yeah, it's just a case really of carrying on. I've kind of got this far. I don't want to turn back now.
Yeah. It's always so hard, isn't it, when you're doing business? But you're doing very well. Doing very well, Primrose. We're going to hear more about Primrose and more about Primrose and her well-being, because she's our feature for today, and we're going to hear more from Dahila as well. But before we do that, we're just going to go into what's caught our eye. I don't mind kicking off with this one. What's caught my eye is I don't know if you've been watching what's it called? I'm a Celebrity. Get Me Out of Here.
Yeah.
And so I don't really watch it. It's not really my thing, me. I'm more for Married at First Sight, or off dinner dates or first dates, anything to do with dating. That's me. But I was actually watching it, and I was watching the episode when it was her name Nella Rose. I think it's Nella Rose, the YouTuber and young black girl. So I'm just going to choke on my hair. Forgive me. YouTuber was on, and she had a bit of a discussion with Fred Sherritt, the one who does dinner dates, and he's a lovely guy.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's either bi or bi, but he is actually engaged to a woman of colour, and they're actually getting married in Jamaica. I think it's next year they get married in Jamaica, so I don't know. But anyway, Nella Rose, the YouTuber, the young girl, she came on, and they were just talking, and I actually saw the whole thing, and they were just talking, and they were sort of just saying, Fred was saying, oh, he was doing something. He said, I need glasses or something, and someone said, oh, he said, I'm getting old, and someone said, you're not that old, and he said to Nella, you're not. She said, you're not that old. He said, oh, I'm old enough to be your dad. And then a little while later, she took really umbrage to that, and she really kicked off with him, and it was really embarrassing to see. It was embarrassing, and it was unnecessary. And I think she's obviously grieving both her parents, unfortunately and sadly for such a young girl. She's lost both her parents at a very young age. Her mother, then followed by her father, which is a total tragedy. And there's somebody who's lost my dad recently. I can relate to that as well. But so because of Fred, she had told Fred that her father had passed, and he said that I could be old enough to your father. She took that he was being disrespectful to her and her father's memory, And but anybody that knows Fred knows it was said in contents. He was saying it to both her and somebody else. So it was a shame that she sort of like really reacted that way, and it was very much like, oh, disrespecting me, blah blah blah. So she really did. And I think it's such a shame, because I'm sure she's a really nice girl, but it's really swayed the public's opinion of her. And the public, you know, are really sort of like not taken too lightly to it, because we all saw the contents that Fred had said it in.
Yeah.
And this young girl was talking to this older man in such a way. And so you've disrespected me, Handy. I'm not going to talk to you for the rest of the show. You go over there, I go over there. And I thought, you know, she was talking about respect, but you were disrespecting this older man who just happened to make a statement that noticed you. And I think sometimes as we're our own worst enemy, in that we fight the wrong fight. The fight that we shouldn't be fighting, we haven't got mouth for it. And the fight that we shouldn't be fighting, that's what we're fighting. And that's what I thought this girl is obviously very influential, and she could be fighting something really powerful and significant and life-changing. And she's putting up a fight about Fred, saying that he's old enough to be her father. You know, and
which he probably is.
Which she is. He is older. She is older. He's in his 50s and she's in her 20s.
So he is technically he is old enough to be her father.
So we can all relate to the grieving bit, and we understand that she was grieving. But for me, it was once again the way we mismanage our power. You know, as Black people, we have got significant power, and sometimes we misplace it. And it leads us back to where we are. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that's, you know, this is the influential young lady, and she could have used her power in a much more sort of productive way. So hopefully that will blow over, and hopefully I think her and Fred have patched it up and okay. But it really was quite triggering, and to watch her talking to him in such a way. And it reminded me, I was in one of the Caribbean shops in South London not long ago, and a young Black boy came in, and we all first thought he was just sort of maybe joking, but he sort of leaned over to the chef, who was a big man, and sort of said something like, "Oh, when I was in there last time, you disrespected me. And I thought, wow, you're talking to another Black person or someone. Once again, a mismanagement of how we see respect and what respect looks like. And I don't know if it's a young person thing or what, but I just thought, God, that the way he was talking to this older guy, and I just thought, well, you know, in our day, I suppose we're old school, you know, we did have a sort of level of different type of our own interpretation of disrespect was obviously very different. To what young people see as disrespect, and maybe it's because when you're in a situation where you're in a society where you're so marginalized that anything slightly will disrespect you if it's coming from another person of color, because clearly if it's coming from the people who hold the power, we now do nothing. Nothing like one with them can't do what they want, and they're not getting told that they're being disrespectful, which is really ironic. So I don't know the whole thing, but hopefully in terms of Nella, it will all blow over, and I think it has blown over, and one can understand her level of grief. As I said, I've lost my own dad, so I can understand how triggering that can be. But I think on this occasion, I think it was just a real big misunderstanding. And I just thought it was such a shame, because she seems such a nice girl. And I hope that, you know, the general public see past this, you know, and that she can continue with her good work on YouTube. I don't know what she does, but apparently she's a big influencer.
I think that it's really interesting because, you know, it kind of flows into what I'm going to be talking about later on, Rosie, because it's interesting. Fred said something in innocence, and this girl took it in a completely different way, because what he said had a different meaning to her. And that's what triggers a lot of issues for people. That's what causes a lot of conflict and a lot of fights and arguments. You could say something and it will have a completely different meaning to you, and it could be said to you in innocence. and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? You know, Fred just said, oh, you know, I could be old enough to be your dad. And if you take something out of context and give it a whole different meaning, you've now got a conflict. You know what I mean? And not only, so it triggered her, because you use that word a couple of times. So it triggered her because it's triggered a meaning about what a father is, and the fact that her father isn't there, and how she feels about him making that statement when it had nothing to do with what he said. Do you see how things can be distorted? Because perception and meaning can be very distorted if people are not careful. They just run with how they feel about something rather than stop and say, actually, let me think about what I'm hearing. Let me make sure that I'm responding in a way that actually matches with what's being said, as opposed to me taking it in a completely different direction, because it sounds like that's what has happened.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, as I said, the whole grief bit, anybody can understand that and relate to that, you know. It really is hard, because there's so many, sometimes even me, when I can't drive past my dad's house because it triggers something in me. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I have to drive all the way around rather than go there. You know, I can't just do it. Or if I drive past the bus stop or the betting shop, I just imagine my dad walking out of the betting shop. So I can understand that trigger. But in this instance, it seems like it was taken out of whole context. And I think that this young lady's got lots of influence and lots of power. And I think it would be good if she could use it in the right way, with the right time, in the appropriate way, as opposed to, you know, but then the jungle is, I suppose, a different setting, and that is also
very, very difficult,
very stressful environment, and people are hungry, and you know, when you're hungry, a hungry man is an angry man. So it could be lots of things that triggered it, but I just thought it was just really sad, and I just thought it was just taken out of context. And as you said, Primrose, it's just a misunderstanding, and hopefully it seems like they have resolved it.
If they've resolved it, that's good, because I think, you know, misunderstandings can happen at any time with anybody. Definitely. And it's the important thing is, what do you do when that happens? If you can try and resolve it, that's good. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, that's right.
I really do think that she needed to resolve it, because I think she was being picked on for trials quite often now because of that incident. I think she realised that a lot of people are watching her on TV. And that could affect directly her influencer, the model that she has already on YouTube, in terms of people she could be losing contracts on all sorts of things. So it's going to have a direct impact on her, this situation, which is a shame. I think she has reflected on it in a small way. She has reflected on it. And I think she's thought, do you know what? People are picking on me to do more trials. That means the public are not, they're watching me, but they're not liking me. So what is going on? I better change.
I don't really watch it that much.
And you don't want to
haven't watched it much either. But
if you're such a powerful YouTuber and influencer, do you really want to lose all of that over something which was a real basic misunderstanding? You know what I mean? And as we said, we all acknowledge the grief. We all acknowledge that the environment that she was in, you know, the jungle is a different environment. It's got its own pressure. We can all understand that. But you don't want to be a hated figure over something that's really not, you know, wasn't meant the way it was. And Fred was so contrived as well. He really was apologetic, and he was confused. He was looking at her to sort of say, what did I say? I said, be your dad, because I am old enough to be your dad.
I suppose something can be, and it makes it difficult, doesn't it? Because people don't want to feel, if I just say something normal or ordinary or whatever it is it going to be taken the wrong way? It's going to be taken out of context.
That's it. And she seems like a lovely, fun-loving young person. And I hope that, as I said, that sincerely that it all blows over, and that she does reflect on this, and just, you know, how much it can impact what you do. So that's what caught my eye. What's caught your eye, ladies?
Primrose.
I would say, I mean, we've obviously all heard about what's going on in Palestine Gaza and Israel. And it's just been a terrible tragedy. If you notice that there's absolutely nothing said about Ukraine and Russia now. It's almost like, right, we've done that war, we're on to the next. But what's been really good, though, is the ceasefire to allow aid to go in, and quite a few hostages are being let go to go back to their families. So you can just imagine the relief that a lot of people, you know, those who are still alive, are able to kind of get away and see their families. But, you know, hearing on the news, lots of demonstrations though in London.
Definitely.
Some real demonstrations going on, and quite powerful stuff. A lot of unrest in the world, in the communities, you know, but this has been quite a pivotal thing.
I mean, I live quite near the American Embassy, and it's been at the weekends there's been sort of like the marches have been going as far as the American Embassy as well. So it's been quite amazing to see the amount of people that are out on the streets. But it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a real difficult situation.
Yeah, and nobody likes war.
As well, that this has to happen because it's part of biblical. It's religion. It's about, you know, land. It's deeper than what we think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of core underlying religious and traditional issues that have and belief issues that are well below the surface with this. Absolutely. Yeah. So it will have a lot of significance for a lot of Christian groups.
Yeah, and it's a shame, really, isn't it? Because I think they're talking about as it two state dividing the country up into two parts.
Yeah.
That's not going to work, because I think, you know, greed and everything gets in the way, doesn't it? Someone wants a bit more than that, and they want a bit more than that, and somebody wants a bit more than that. So it always gets a bit difficult. I've been to Tel Aviv, and I've always been amazed at how, you know, this new country has been built up the way it is. It's quite an impressive country, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a sensitive subject, and it's a very hard one, isn't it? And as Dr. Uma Johnson said, the business for me is about Black people. As Dr. Uma Johnson said, you know, don't troll me, he says. I'm just all about Black people. So it's very hard for our position. Sometimes it's hard for us as Black people, because we've got our own fight, and you know what I mean, and it's a long fight that's been going on for 600 years. It doesn't seem to have any ending in sight. So so I think we have to keep on the good fight, really. And and just
I think one of the things that really struck me was an 80-year-old woman, Israeli woman, had been captured and then released, and she had also been in the Holocaust. So it's very hard to imagine. She's thinking all the while, once Germany got defeated and that war was over, just the thought that could happen again is quite terrifying, actually. So it takes a lot of strength, and we don't realize, I mean, we have our issues in this country, but, you know, we're not going through war. You know, we're not going through buildings being bombed and, you know, trying to fight for survival, and you don't know where you're going to be. You know, hospitals being blown up. To me, I'm thinking, actually, this is a time really to give God thanks for our well-being and safety. And even though everybody in the world, everywhere, there's always going to be some problems we're all going to face, but you know, we have to be thankful that
and all
we're not in that situation.
All the innocent children.
The
reports coming out, it's really horrible.
It's devastating. But it's good that people have been released. It's good that some people are being released now, some of the hostages.
And I think it's hard for us as Black people and all the rest of it. We've still got our own fight that's going on, so we have to be mindful of that as well. So what's caught your eye?
Well, what's caught my eye? Well, there's so much things that's caught my eye, but this is quite an interesting one, really. That Michael Gove from the Labour Party, he apologised for the errors made regarding the COVID-19 response. So what he was actually talking about is that they felt that he felt that they should have locked down a bit quicker, and that saved probably lives. And I think that when we heard all the whispers of, you know, COVID-19, and it was always an abroad problem, and it wasn't going to come to England, and when it did come, we could have locked down a bit earlier, and things could have been done a bit differently, and we could have saved more lives. So that was quite interesting, actually, to hear that he actually apologized. And I think that was quite an important statement that he made. Because now they've got this report and they're looking at it and they're reflecting on it. Different things could have been put into place, and different things, and the response could have been different in hindsight. And I just think that what was thought about was businesses. How can we shut a country down? This has never been done before like this, a pandemic on this scale. Even though we were watching China do it, would it really come over here, where, you know, a first world country? And it did come over here, and we lost a lot of lives. So that's what, you know, was quite important that I saw this week. Well, just a few hours ago, actually, which has had a massive impact on lots of people with long COVID. Those people that didn't die, but those people have been affected either, you know, because they've caught COVID and their health has never been the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the COVID inquiry has been quite an interesting one, and there's a number of people that are responsible there for how that all happened. What's interesting is they're all taking the opportunity to fire the bullet at Boris Johnson. Now, you know, we know that he kind of messed up quite a bit, but really, I'm thinking, you know, it's like, well, if you're blaming Boris, I'm going to blame Boris, and I'm going to blame Boris. You know, no one's really taken responsibility, apart from what you're saying with Michael Gove. I think it sounded like that's the first time someone has said, actually, I apologize for not making a decision sooner, and so on. Whereas before it was all an opportunity. Well, if Boris is getting the blame, we might as well all join in, you know. And I think that's people, you can't pull the wool over people's eyes, really. You know, of course, the leader is always the one that's seen and is going to be the main person that's going to be targeted. But I think there's lots of things that could have been done differently. But also, it was the first time they'd gone through something like this as well, like most of the world. You know, but it's a complicated one. I certainly wouldn't like to be in their position.
It's a big decision. It was really
definitely
not easy.
It's a very hard one, isn't it? You know. Anyway, you're listening to Sister Chat Talk Show, topical talk show for sisters of today, and thank you for joining us this evening. You know, we're discussing some real sort of relevant topics. Like we do, we're all about empowering a sister to empower a community one step at a time.
Yes, and we hope that sisters or people, anybody out there is
London World Radio, with over 16 genres of music and talk stations, all accessible from one place. It's entertainment to ensure your enjoyment levels are consistently high. On lwrradio.com and lwrradio.co.uk are our portals. We bring you LWR Classic with 60s, 70s and 80s soul, funk, grooves and boogie. LWR Reggae, housing the best of rockers, lovers rock, roots and culture, plus bashment and more. LWR House, from the original home of house, incorporating soulful, deep, afro, disco and classic house. The music of the 90s, noughties comes under LWR Reload and includes R&B, slow jams, true and neo-soul. LWR Hip Hop covers the emergence of rap, hip hop, electro, conscious, gangster, G-funk, party and breakbeats right through to the mid-noughties, greatest releases and the sounds of the underground. LWR Afrobeat encompasses the Woken Continent's feast of music such as Afrobeat, Rumba, Highlife, Makosa, Poeto and more. Non-stop beats. LWR Extra is the contemporary home of all that's good and great today. Hear urban, trap, R and bass, funky house, grime, R&B, slow jams all day, every day. LWR Dance provides many of the subgenres making up electronic dance. Plenty of drum and bass, jungle, hardcore, techno, and EDM. LWR Fusion involves highlights of the best cool jazz, Latin jazz, conscious rap, lo-fi, along with chill out. The LWR dubstep platform is the best of classic, post-chill, hard, tech, drum, sub, ganja, and more. LWR Rock shows off the original, unheralded pioneers of rock and brings the story up to date. On LWR Worship, there's a subtle blend of spiritual and inspirational music, marked by having a cross-faith appeal. Music for all. Musically. LWR Live platform is dedicated to unique live broadcasts, concerts, performance, gigs, and LWR live and recorded events. That leaves our speech-based stations. LWR Sport concentrates on much of what happens in international and national sports. Whenever or whatever sporting activities proceed, we aim to broadcast the best sporting occasions. LWR Comedy uniquely has a 24-hour uninterrupted format of comedy in the form of stand-up, review, stage, sketch, and much more.
Complete physical, mental,
LWR Health, Fitness, and Wellbeing is just a lifestyle and a way of life. All our lives in sharp focus.
We strive to achieve. Not just
Our flagship station is LWR Talk, which covers up-to-date national and international news, topical news, views, reviews, interviews, documentaries, live sports, stories, and of course, current affairs. To access the hub, join us at www.lwrradio.com, and for our television program broadcast, join us at www.lwrradio.co.uk. LWR, all your media needs in one place. Get on to LWR right now.
So you're listening to Sister Chat Talk Show, a topical talk show for sisters of today. And I'm joined by my lovely sisters, the lovely Dahila Anderson and my lovely sister Primrose Roberts on this cold, dark winter's night, November winter night. And it really is, you know, this is where you need someone to smuggle up with. Anybody? I must find somebody to smuggle up with this one.
You like that dating gentleman we had on Sister Chat?
I know, I do need to get back in touch with him actually. At the moment, I've just got my hot water bottle. Oh, how sad is that? I've got my hot water bottle and I've got a little teddy called Lily, and my little Lily and my little hot water bottle. But anyway, I suppose the other side of that, at least I'm in peace, isn't it?
Yes. Know where Lily is.
So always look on the bright side.
Can't answer back.
Sorry.
Lily can't answer back.
No, that's right. That's it. Yeah, and my hot water bottle keeps me warm. So it's all good stuff, isn't it, really? So you're listening to Sister Chat Talk Show, a topical talk show for sisters of today. And we're all about empowering a sister to empower a community, one expert guest speaker at a time. And I must remind people to say, for our December show, we're having a live recording with Kyo, the wonderful jazz musician. We're going to be in the studio with him, and he's going to be doing a Christmas jam session. He did it last year, and it went down really, really well, and he's going to do it again this year. And we're going to go into the studios with him. So we're going to be doing a little bit of interviewing, a little bit of talking, and that is with Kyo for our Christmas December special. So please listen out for the dates for that. It may not be the last December of the last Thursday of the month, because obviously it's Christmas. I think it's going to be the 21st, but we'll confirm that. But definitely in December, our Christmas special jingle with Kyo, the esteemed award-winning jazz player. So Dahila, you've been busy. You've been busy, sister. You've been busy. Go on. Tell us what you've been up to.
Well, first of all, I'm Dahila Anderson. I'm the founder of Cookie Box Kids, and we specialise in bringing children joy. through handcrafted soft toys that supports comfort, sharing and imaginary play. We also provide colouring books, educational books that spark curiosity and creativity and self-expression. That's what I'm about. My background is I am a social worker and I'm a midwife and then I'm a nurse. So coming out of that, I wanted to give back to children. As you know, I'm sure you're all aware, but I'll let you know we've got Gigi on sale now. She's on Amazon. Very soft. She comes with a spare dress and she's got little knickers. And she's the softest, cuddliest toy you could ever have, soft toy. And she provides comfort. And we've got some lovely books out at the moment, colouring books for children. So I have been busy. I have been getting a few leads abroad in America. And the next time I'm here, I'm sure I'll be able to share the good news about all that. Yeah.
Do you have any examples of your books with you, Dahlia?
Yes, I do. And the one that's out now on my website and also on SD Cookie Box Kids is The Princesses of the World with Positive Affirmation for Girls. It's a
Lovely,
beautiful, beautiful book. And I think what children will really love about this book is the positive affirmations like I am strong.
yeah.
Beautiful,
that's lovely.
From the world, so from every continent, there's a positive affirmation so that children can feel loved, like
Yes, I am loving. Yes.
So I think this book in particular really it inspired me to actually what inspired me to do this is that lots of girls have got different types of images that they think that they should be. And I think this book, especially around Christmas time, is a really good book for children to have fun with, colour in, read the positive affirmations that are attached to it, and hopefully absorb some of that positive affirmation, feeling that they are good enough, they are loved, they are caring, and they are strong, they are blessed. And that's what this book does, which is different. Colouring books, it does have positive affirmations,
so
and
they've got colour it and affirmations alongside each other.
Absolutely, it's absolutely a lovely book, and it's for all nations. As you can see, I am creative here. Is from a different nation. She could be from Iceland. She could be from England. So it's not only for
lovely.
children, it's for all children, and that is the reason why it is called Princesses of the World.
Oh, lovely.
Our children are princesses. So it's out now. You can buy it from Cookie Box Kids. That's www.cookieboxkids.com. Or get it from the SD store, Cookie Box Kids, and it will arrive before Christmas.
Oh, wonderful.
Next year, I think probably next year, I've just created a book. A lot of mothers have asked me for books for boys. We seem to have things for girls. Yeah. So I created a Cookie Box Kids book for boys, and girls can have this as well, and it's called the Vehicles book. Every single vehicle, from a tractor to a plane to a police car to a fire engine, it's all in this book, even from a bin cart, and it's actually got words what that vehicle is. It helps them to read. It helps them mother and child as well to do this book with them. It's simple, it's for all ages, it's fun, and it's beautifully designed, and the cover is absolutely
that's lovely.
A really lovely book for boys. It's not out quite yet, unfortunately. I really wanted it to be out for Christmas. I might be able to get some copies on my website, but this one is going on Amazon as well. Okay,
because you can see that girls can play with that as well.
Absolutely.
They could colour that in, because they would see all kinds of vehicles as well. So
it's a wonderful book, and it's very, very different from other colouring books where they just have colouring in. This is a bus, so it's really great for children to colour it in, and it's great for you to read with them as well.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That's this one.
Well, if you, so.
I have got a few other books that are on my website that have sold out, and that's the dinosaur book. This one has sold out, so we're trying to get some more. I'm not sure if we'll get them before Christmas. This is typically, though, just a book. It hasn't got words or positive affirmations, but it's lots of children like dinosaurs. So when we put these back in, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
One other book that is a special book that has sold out, and it's called, I'll see if I've got it here. I don't know if I've got it here, sorry. I'm just going to see if I've got a spare copy. No, I haven't got a spare copy of that book. It's a book for children with disabilities. And
wow, that's brilliant.
And it's called I Am Amazing, and it's got positive affirmations. It's a positive affirmation book, and that you can do anything. So the next time I'm on, I will present that book. I've got a lot of interest in that book, especially for hospitals that are interested in that book. And it has sold out, so I am trying to get some more copies of that particular book. So when I do get it, I'll let you know. It's on my website, but it has sold out, so you'll be able to see the cover of it. I Am Amazing book, and hopefully when it actually comes back in stock, I'll let you know.
Well, Dahlia, that is so good what you're doing. You know, I remember when a couple of years ago you were talking about Curly Gigi, and you know, the idea, and sort of she started to come to life with the images and so on. Now you've got a real doll. One of my friends, she's got twin girls, as you know, and she bought, well, I bought two, one of each, otherwise I'll be fighting over it. And those girls absolutely adore their little doll. Absolutely adore it. So I think it's just so good to see what you're doing.
Yeah, I think with these dolls, that is it. The difference with Gigi with other dolls, it's handcrafted, it's a doll for life. So it's one of those dolls that you can pull out of your trunk or think, oh my gosh, I remember I had a Gigi doll. Which is different. Her hair is pure wool. She comes with a spare dress. She's been everywhere. I've known some girls that have taken her everywhere in different countries, and placed her in different places and taken pictures of her. She is a special doll. Her eyes follow you everywhere you go. So it's a doll that, it's not just a doll, it's a comfort doll. And I think that's the difference between mine and quite a lot of other dolls. It's a comfort doll. It's one of those that bed with you. It's one of those that you can spread your bed and put Gigi on it and it looks complete. It's one of those you can look at with her half smile and you feel joy in your heart.
I like the idea of the dolls that reflect and represent children with their own sort of challenges and special needs, and I think that's really good, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think we'll be going into, you know, we'll see what happens next year when we talk, but we're definitely looking around disability, those children who are ill. We're definitely looking at that area. But the I Am Amazing book is a really good seller. Children's disabilities and with positive affirmation. So
you see, when sister good, sister great. And it's amazing really that, you know, that we started this sister chat like 3 years ago during the pandemic, and you know, it just started off as a little Zoom to sort of bolster us and keep us going, and you know, just sharing ideas. And then we realized that how much talent we had among us as sisters, and you know, and what we, and how creative and resilient and resourceful we are. And here you are, Dee, you know, from a conversation like, oh, I think I'm going to do this doll thing, and there you are to doing it. Primrose, there you are to doing your well-being stuff as well. And here we are, sister chat, you know, like 3 years later, and we're still going. So it just goes to show the resilience of what we can do. And sister chat is all about empowering the sister to empower a community. So I implore any sisters out there that want to sort of jump on the Sister Chat train and be part of us. This is what you can achieve. This is what you can aspire to. This is a platform for opportunities and for change. And well done, Dee. I mean, I'm proud of you, really proud. I went down when you was at the Shepherd's Bush on the senior adults, and you really did get a really great reception from them. And I know that you've got lots of things, great things in the pipeline for it, but definitely hit the mark with the special needs, and children with particular needs can actually read about themselves and just have representation. I think that's so important.
And I think even children that are in foster care, that they can have a doll that is very particular to them, that's given to them by the foster mother. And so this is a special doll, which is from every other doll. It's a doll that's very, very soft, so you can sleep with it. It's not like some other dolls that are out there that are quite well, I won't say popular, that are quite famous. This is a particular doll that is for this child. A doll that child can say, I remember my Gigi. She I was given by Cindy, who was a foster carer, and I carried this doll everywhere. When I was sad, she was there. When I was happy, I was there. When I came home, she was there. And I think that is the area that Gigi belongs in. And just before I go as well, I have got another doll for, I know Gigi is for all races, but I have got another doll that a lot of people have been asking me, and this is Mimi.
Oh.
Now, Mimi, her hair can come off. She is naturally a blonde girl. Mimi in the character, when the actual book comes out about their characters, she's a little girl that loves knitting, Mimi. And that's why she's the first knitted doll. She comes with a scarf, she comes with a little cardigan that comes off, a little dress, little boots. She's washable, and she's for all ages. So this is Mimi. So if you do have a little blonde friend, or a little friend that would want a little Mimi, she is on sale as well on my website, cookieboxkids.com, and on the Esty store also. And
Dahlia, you're going to go very far. You're going to go very far. That's absolutely brilliant. Sounds like you're building a little family there.
Yes, I suppose friendships. I
can tell almost like the adventures of Gigi.
Yes,
honestly, but I think we can't be proud, Dee, that you've done so well. You brought this to fruition, really, and you've done so well. So we're all very proud of you, really.
Yes, this is little Mimi. So for that girl who's in foster care, she wants a doll that represents her. She'll be able to get this doll also. And if you've got a friend, brilliant. I know we are all about Black empowerment, but it's very important as well to be able to service and provide for other races as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because sorry, go on.
Go on, Rosie.
No, I was going to say diversity is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're also you're providing something really valuable, Dahlia, for children, and there's children of all communities that have a need, and as a Black businesswoman, that you're doing something amazing, and I want to see it really grow. And you mentioned to me before about America, that there's potential for your doll to go into America.
Yes, so I'm not going to say too much about it till next time. We have got a connection, which will be a really big connection for Gigi over there. They're very, very excited. I don't want to say too much about it on there.
Fair enough. That sounds fantastic. Soon. Yeah, we can't wait to hear. We can't wait to hear about that.
Oh, well done, Dahlia.
Well done.
I think I'm definitely going to buy one of those books. Definitely for one of those children's books. They're just so lovely and colourful, and they just look really, really good, didn't they?
They are. They're absolutely. It's an absolutely beautiful book, and on the front of every book is this song that I actually one day will get somebody to actually compose, which is really good, and it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, it looks lovely.
It's really, really
Oh.
beautiful book.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And as I said, when the rest of them, the vehicle book is out, because when it is out, I'll definitely let you know the vehicle book.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, doesn't it? To, you've got illustrators and you've got to get the idea out and so on. And it takes a lot of work. It seems simple when you see the item, but all the work behind the scenes, does take a lot.
It does. As we know, we are sisters that are building businesses, and one of the things about building businesses is branding. I think branding is really important. And as you said, Primrose, I haven't been able to really push things as I could on social media. Social media is something that it's a thing that is moving very fast paced. You have to be posting every other day, improve all the time. We really do need a social media person on our team to be doing that on a consistent basis. TikTok has exploded. Who has YouTube with the influencers? So it's about, do we actually go now with influencers who have got that, a bit like Nelly, got a big fan base, approach them with products, and that's what a lot of businesses are doing. They're going to sell their products. So we have to look at lots of different things as small up and coming businesses, of black, white, whatever business you are doing. Influencers are doing things. If we were a singer, if we were a rapper, if we were at the actual product ourselves, actors, singers, that sort of thing, it'd be different. Then we could use YouTube to really get on board and build up a fan base from that, and also Instagram, because we are the product, but we are selling products. And when you are selling products, there needs to be a vehicle to actually propel you to the next step and the next the next height. So we've got this idea, so how can we reach masses from our idea, and what is your niche? Because everything's been done. So what's about your product, and it's about that, unless you've got a service that is really needed, like yours. Yours.
It's what you said. It's what you said, isn't it? They are now turning to influencers as as a way of sort of generating business, isn't it? I mean, they've been doing it for a little while, and I mean, I think you can make great money as an influencer as well, can't you?
But you have to learn how to market yourself to be able to get the numbers, to be able for people to want to sell their or give their products to you for a percentage. So you would say, well, okay, just say Nelly, for instance, she's an influencer, she's got millions on her YouTube, or she could have millions on her TikTok. We'd have to see what's her genre. Does she do makeup? Does she talk about makeup? Does she talk about hair products? Does she talk about food? It depends on what her niche is and who follows her. So not every influencer is right for your product.
Absolutely.
So it's about looking at your market, seeing what you've got, and seeing who can fit your general product.
It's as you said, not everybody is not everybody's it's not one one size fits all, is it, for influencer?
No, it isn't. It really isn't.
The social media side of things is very fast paced and highly specialized, and you're quite right, Dahlia. Getting influencers, getting the right social media management, marketing of what you're trying to do is so important, because it's got to then generate itself. That's where it's going to start to reach so many more people. But
absolutely.
And I think our generation, this is where we struggle, don't we, sometimes? But I suppose it's just about enlisting the services of young people, or people that have got the skills to help us to do it.
Yeah, and I think what's actually happened as well is that since lockdown, everybody started businesses and they thought, you know what, I prefer to work at home. I want to be more creative. I don't want to go back into the work environment. So we've got all these new businesses. And I think at that time for lockdown, everybody bought, everybody was interested. But with the economy, with you know, the shortage of money, and people are more you know, they're looking at what they're spending now, and mortgages have gone up, and everyone's thinking about how am I going to pay the bills, and they are looking for something, the basics, food, electric, but you know, basic things. Christmas now is an ideal opportunity to capitalize for businesses, for small businesses, where presents will be bought and gifts will be bought. It's the ideal time. And then after Christmas, and even during that, Primrose, your business will come into fruition when people are together who they don't want to be together.
Absolutely.
That is.
You're absolutely right, because even Christmas can be a very stressful time for people. You know, it can be, you know, all sorts of things. Christmas can trigger a lot of emotional anxiety for a lot of people, and it's just looking at how to manage that better, you know, so people shouldn't be feeling like it's not something to look forward to, because some people will dread it. But people will overspend, worry about, can they afford the presents, can they not, you know, are they going to let themselves and their families down, you know, they're going to have to be in with the in-laws when they don't want to be.
Oh, I know that. So what they should do with the children, if they've got children, get a Gigi or me and get these books, and the kids will be absolutely happy.
How much for your products, Dahlia? How much are your products?
These ones are $4.99 at the moment, on sale for Christmas.
Oh, that's very reasonable.
Yes, $4.99.
$4.99. That's good.
So get your copy now.
That's really good, isn't it?
That's very good. That's very good. And what about Gigi?
Gigi at the moment is on the sale for $24.99. She's very good, and Mimi's the same price as well at the moment.
Yeah, they look very good quality. You can see the quality in them.
Yeah, it is. These are dolls for life. These are handcrafted dolls for life. They're not mass made. These are handmade, and that's why they're very special. That's why they're comfort dolls. I think that's fantastic. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't know what's happened to you. And we're talking about technology. I mean, honestly, as you're talking, I'm fiddling around with this, and I'm like making a real pig's ear of it. So I think I need a crash course in technology, really. So yeah, Dahlia, well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sisters.
We're so proud of you, and it's great. And the colours and the you know, the affirmations and everything is wonderful. And really, you know, because it's so important that children are, you know, we affirm their importance and their wonderfulness and their greatness. You know,
have a child that's just been newly diagnosed with diabetes, to someone who's lost an arm or a leg, somebody who's got mental health, somebody who can't feed properly with a feeding tube. There's so many different illnesses. There's so many children that don't feel good about themselves, and to have a book with positive affirmation that is simple, that you can work with them, also you can colour in with them, or you can allow them to colour in and ask you, what does this mean, is really important. And children that are away from their families in foster care and adoption, who can't be with their families, they feel as well not as good as other children. You know, why am I? So these are books that are suited for children in that category as well.
Definitely. Okay. As I said, we've got Kyo Brown he's going to be on our next our Christmas special in December. We're looking forward to having him, and he's done an album which you can download online called the Windrush album. And let's give it a taste. So you're listening to Sister Chat Talk Show, topical talk show for sisters of today. And it's been, listen to our sister Dahila. We are just so proud. You see, when as my friend Janita would say, when girl good, girl great. And it just goes to show that, you know, you can put your mind to something and do so well. So we're moving on to our lovely other sister, Primrose Roberts. Primrose. Well, you know, Primrose is, and well, both Primrose and Dahila have been with us from the start. And Primrose is, you know, well-being expert, but I'm not going to talk for Primrose. She's going to talk for herself. Okay, Primrose, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rosie. Just a quick reminder to everybody, I'm a psychotherapist and a social worker as well, and all three of us are social workers. And we seem to have we have a second kind of profession. I know for you, Dahlia, you're in medical services, Rosie, you're with BA, and I'm in therapy and counselling. And my business is Blue Diamond Wellbeing, quality psychotherapy, counselling and spa treatments. And I've actually included mindset coaching as well, because not everybody wants to go into kind of full-blown counselling and therapy, but a bit of coaching to kind of deal with some more low-level things might be more appropriate for some people. Or it could go from a counselling scenario into coaching, but I combine it with spa treatments. And I'm actually, I'm in partnership with a hotel group that are across the country, and they provide the spa treatments for my clients. And I'm actually in talks with a beautiful, two lovely hotels in London that has some amazing spas that want to talk to me about, you know, what I'm doing, and they potentially might become providers for my clients as well. So I'm kind of excited. I just want to say 2024 is going to be an interesting year.
Well done, well done.
Very, very interesting. What have I been doing recently? Yes, I've been having talks with some big companies that want mental wellness within their services. I went to Community Care Live and spoke to quite a number of providers, local authority providers there. And I've been in talks with one that have been talking about how stressed their social workers are, which isn't unusual to hear. And they really do want to invest in what they can do to make the experience for social workers better, because they want to prevent burnout and stress and overwhelm, and they need some ways in which they can do that. So counselling one-on-one is one thing, but what I've done is put together a bit of a package to outline different things that they can be starting to think about, and looking at, you know, social workers go through complaints and allegations. They often, you know, get blurred lines when it comes to work and home life. They feel stressed because of, or traumatized because of the kind of work that they're dealing with families, you know, children that have been abused or various things. And there's a new term at the moment where social workers are apparently considered to be experiencing secondary trauma. And what that means is that because social workers are constantly facing the problems that they're working with, they are actually internalizing the trauma themselves in a secondary way, and are not able to kind of down tools and put things aside. They're not getting the supervision in the right way and so on. So I've kind of put together a small package, and I'm in discussion at the moment with them. So hopefully they'll take me up on it. Really looking at how to deal with some of those kind of issues mentally and psychologically, so they are much better placed to enjoy doing the work, but also feel protected. And it gives us the organisation some level of responsibility to take care of your staff. If your staff are dealing with, you know, trauma all the time, you've got to take care of them. So yeah, it's been some interesting discussions that I'm having at the moment.
I think that's absolutely excellent, Primrose. I think you've tapped into a much needed market. I mean, I've left social work. You know, you've left social work. Dahila, we're all social workers, and yet still none of us are social workers, because we've all left social work. And you know, and many years as well. It's not that we just left yesterday. So I think that social work is one of the most rewarding jobs that you can do. I mean, if you are all about helping people and caring about people, and you really want to make a difference in someone's life, it is a really great job to do. However, as you just pointed out, all the negative things about the stress level, it's about how they retain and keep keep social workers, and the support that social workers get as well. And it's so overwhelming. So you're talking about that secondary trauma, it's totally identify about it. So I think the secondary trauma and the blurred lines, I mean, the blurred lines are so important, especially for us Black people and Black social workers, because a lot of us we've got clients in our families. The lines are so blurred between ourselves and our clients, and it's not because we're bad people, it's because of the circumstances, how we are in England, you know what I mean? And I think all those things can sometimes come into play. So you're working with people, and then you're going home and you've got the same thing in your family, and it's really hard to sort of distinguish between, you know, separating yourself from that workload when you come home and you've still got those pressures within your family, whether it's your immediate family or extended family. There's something around somewhere along the line. And I've worked with social workers who it's got to the point where a lot of Black social workers, and some who've been like single parents, for instance. My last social work job, I worked with a girl, and she her 11-year-old had to go home by himself. I think he was 10 or 11, and he had to go home by himself, let himself in, and she was ringing him up, sort of saying, "Are you at home? Don't forget, don't put the fire on, don't do this." But then she was going out to do a child protection on a 10-year-old who was being left at home. And she's just been on the phone to her child, we said, "Don't do this, go home, don't tell anybody." And I thought, what a level of stress is that? You are actually performing a child protection, instigating a child protection investigation on a 10-year-old boy who's been left at home alone, and your son is at home alone. So when we talk about the blurred lines in terms of London, I can only speak for London and maybe Birmingham and other big cities where it seems at the moment majority of social workers are from some form of ethnic minority background. So because the mere fact that we have been born into the system that we're in makes us have these situations which are very similar to the clients who we service. So to have someone like yourself, Primrose, that can go in and work with the social workers in that, because that's what causes the burnout as well. Imagine when you're doing all of that, you're burnt out, aren't you? You're going home, you're worrying about your own child. God, my child's at home. You're worrying about your own childcare, and then you have to go out and do investigation on somebody. That is a lot of stress already, a stressful job that is pressurized, and it's very, very difficult to manage. And if you haven't got the support of management, and you haven't got proper supervision, and you haven't got proper support networks, it can make it a really, really difficult job.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, also, I think that with social work as well, social work to me, it's very akin to when I do try to take things back to the day. But social work is also very akin to being a nanny. In the old days, we're looking after people, we're nursing people, we're looking after, and as Black people, we feel that this is the jobs that we have to go into, nanny, nursing. No, we don't.
All the caring type of work.
That means we're still back where we were. We're nannies, we're mammy, we're looking after the whole, and we are people as well. And it's a really hard job. And I think that sometimes when we go into these jobs, we go in these jobs because we feel these are the jobs that are accessible to us as Black women in particular, and these are the jobs that we can get. But that's not the case. There are other jobs that we can get. And I think that you have to look very carefully at yourself and make sure you've got all the support systems that you need in order to do this very challenging, it's rewarding, but it's also a very challenging job.
Oh, absolutely, because I think that social work across the board for everybody is difficult, for all Black, white, Asian, everybody. Black people definitely do face more challenges, and we've kind of gravitated into it. It's, and it's a very demanding, and a lot of people have left. A lot of people are falling sick, and a lot of people are struggling with, actually, I'm disillusioned about social work now. And so I think local authorities now there's discussions now around, actually, we need to start looking after social workers. It doesn't take much for complaints and allegations to surface. You hear about a really awful case on the news and social workers get absolutely slated. So even when you've done really good work, there's no balance. You're either social work are just seen as a bad profession in many eyes. People think it's a place where your children are whipped away and so on. And there's a lot of other good work behind the scenes that's ignored. So it's a very challenging role that when you go into, don't be under any illusion it's a walk in the park, because it's not. But certainly one of the things that this council, it's a council service in the Northwest. I'm not at liberty to say at the moment, but they are really, they've got some wellbeing providers, and they are looking at other wellbeing providers. So when I got talking at the Community Care Live show in London, they just said, can we have a meeting, because we really like what you've got to offer. You know, I've got wellness days and various things like that. But certainly I thought they need a program that is targeted for the well-being of social workers, but also that can be adapted to, like, the NHS, Dahlia, and you know, teaching as well, because a lot of it is about how people are not coping very well with the demands of work, being overworked, feeling unable to kind of get the boundaries right of, this is work, and when I'm finished up, you know, now it's home time. And it's about how to manage that, dealing with the challenges and the difficulties. But at the moment, I'm hoping that this will develop into something really well with this local authority that potentially could be rolled out to other local authorities as well. So I'm going to have to think about how that's going to work, and some kind of online system for some parts of it as well.
It's amazing it hasn't been done before, isn't it, really? Because it's so thing. I mean, if you think like us, we're all qualified social workers, and yet still none of us operate or work in social work. So we have to be quite reflective of the social work community. And I've come across quite a few people who are no longer social workers when we were social workers. So, you know, I'm surprised that local authorities haven't thought about putting in systems in place. The other thing,
they have got things that come through HR. They've got, you know, the occupational health where, you know, you go for counselling, but usually that's at a point of crisis. So what I'm introducing really is an idea that actually do some preventative stuff first, put certain measures in place that's really going to give the support that's needed before it gets to a real crisis level, before people burn out. Because if you know you're coming to work and you're fully supported and you feel like you've got all the right things in place for you, you're going to feel more secure, you're going to feel safer, and you're going to feel supported as well. So I'll kind of keep this space. I'll let you know later on at some point how this goes. So keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah. I think you're onto a winner. I really do. I think it's just, you know, it's something that I'm just surprised it hasn't been done more. And in terms of when we think about retaining and retention of social workers, and that, you know, the importance, it is an important job. It's a really hard job to do. And it's, you know, and the fact is that you've got 3 social workers sitting here who are non-practicing. I mean, it's to the point where we're not even non-practicing. I mean, I'm working in aviation. You know, you're an entrepreneur. You know, so we're looking at people here who are not even doing the job remotely, and I think it just tells us I can't even do social work. Don't get me wrong, if I had to feed myself and I needed money and I had to do whatever I did to feed and look after myself, I would have to reconsider. But I find it incredibly difficult, emotionally and physically, to even try to do the job. I find that I come out in hives. It's just that level of stress. Because when I started social work, which has been the same time as you two, the pressure wasn't so great, you know. I think there's so many changes, but what I do notice is that, you know, I know that when we've got in touch with social services in our area, there are lots of like social workers that are ethnic minorities that are non-English speaking social workers, and it just tells you that they're having to recruit abroad because people are just not doing it.
But that's a shortage in most professions now. There's a shortage of nurses and doctors. The other day I heard there was like about 80,000 doctors short, you know. Teachers, there's shortage of teachers. So although we're not directly practicing social workers, I think certainly, you know, I have regular conversations with social workers about how they're feeling about things. So I feel, you know, we do have can get a very quick hands-on understanding, because over the years we've seen and we understand the nature of social work. So
is there a shortage of bankers and people like that, I wonder?
Or key worker jobs that are short. Where
Yeah, but
there's
there's not a shortage of bankers and what they called hedge funders and all these people.
Yeah,
No.
it's like, but in the caring profession, it's always a lot more demanding because people need a lot more as well.
Yes.
So I just thought I'd let you know.
They are worthwhile jobs. They are rewarding jobs. They come with their own rewards, and if it can be managed and managed in a way that people can stay and do it, it's a great job to do it. It's a great job to do. I mean, when I started, I loved being a social worker, and in fact, I see myself still as a social worker. I work in aviation, masquerading as a aviation person as opposed to a social worker. So it's still there, but it's not something I could personally go out and do unless I absolutely had to. You can never say never unless I absolutely had to, because of a level of stress that I just
I think it's been very underestimated that social work as a profession comes with a great deal of stress, simply because of the nature of the work and the kind of families and individuals that we're working with, to kind of, and like you were saying, Rosie, I've heard many cases where the frontline social workers are out till really late. The emphasis on making sure they protect other people's children, and yet you can't even have the space to look after your own family. There's something wrong with that. There's got to be a balance as to how that dynamic works, because it shouldn't be acceptable that a social worker should be able to leave her family and run and protect someone else's, and yet her children need her as well, or him, so I think there's new discussions that need to be had within social work to make it a profession that is really good, but also has protective measures, and that's what's missing. So I'm introducing some new ideas, and hopefully I'll see what comes from that.
Yeah. Well done, Primrose. I think we all went into social work for preventative crisis work. We wanted to prevent what was happening. It's not all now being crisis work. So a child needs to be removed, a child needs an assessment, a child's at harm. You do an assessment at a very short period of time and you think, okay, can I leave this child at home? And you really want to leave this child at home because all the catalogue of things that you have to do. You want to keep that family together as much as possible. You do a short assessment. You think, yes, Mel, maybe that child might be safe at home. You walk away. And as soon as you're in your car or in your home thinking, should I have left that child in that home? It's hard.
Yeah.
The pressure to get it right and the balance is immense. It really
it is. And that's quite anxiety provoking for a lot of social workers. And if mistakes are made, and sometimes there might not be mistakes made, but you could have a parent that could really complain, and because they don't like the intervention, or they don't welcome that scrutiny, and it puts a lot of pressure on social workers. And so I think the services are now really thinking, actually, if we're going to keep our social workers, we've got to look after them.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the support that you're going to be providing, and I think all you need now, Primrose, is that one foot in that door and everything will mushroom. It's going to be a phenomenal year for you. And I'm very excited for your future. Very excited for social workers, teachers, the key workers. Have to provide and
well, I'll keep myself, hopefully.
And I think the fact is that you're a social worker yourself, that you've been there, you know what it's like, you know what it's like, you can sort of empathize and and understand what it's like. I think that's a real bonus, and I think that's going to be a point that you'll be able to share your experiences and how you managed it when you was a social worker.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so today what I was going to cover, kind of following on from that, really is more of questions and answers about counselling. because I often get people asking a wide range of questions. So I've kind of got some key questions, some standard questions, and I'm going to give some answers to them. So interject, it's a discussion, and these are key things, because I think a lot of people are just on the verge of trying to figure out, what do I do when I've got a problem and it's really affecting me mentally, psychologically, or I might be leading up to that, so it could be, you could be at different ends of things. So just some very common things that I think are the common things that I've picked up from the questions that have been asked of me. So I'll just start off. One of the questions, are all counsellors the same? Now, I know it sounds very basic. Of course, not all counsellors are the same. And it may seem strange, but the answer is no, not all counsellors are the same. And they come from all backgrounds and cultures, because people that have the need for counselling and therapy also come from all backgrounds and cultures. And sometimes people are thinking, but if they've never had a counsellor before, never had a therapist, they might have a particular view that they're all the same, it all doesn't work, they can't help, da 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 da. Well, just to say, not all counsellors are the same. There's got to be a connection that you have with that person, and you may want a particular counsellor from a particular culture. It could be a male counsellor, for male counsellors, could be female, someone who deals with disability or different gender issues, could be religious counsellors. So counsellors come from all different backgrounds for particular reasons, and everyone would have a different reason why they would choose a specific counsellor. So if you have any questions, ladies, just interject. Now, one of the questions that was also asked me was, why are there so many different types of counselling? And that's an important question, because one of the things that stops people from thinking about seeing a counsellor is actually not knowing what kind of counselling, what does it actually mean? What am I going into? What am I picking? I don't even know how to pick. So what does it all mean? So one of the reasons why there's many different types of counselling is because counselling and psychotherapy, it's constantly progressing. It's like any profession. There's constant progression of knowledge, of information, of different methods, of different techniques, from psychodynamic, where you look at a relationship between what's going on with you and an individual. You've got cognitive behavior therapy, which looks at the thinking, emotions and beliefs, and how that affects your actions. And there's hypnotherapy, looking at much more of the subconscious, putting you into a subconscious state. There's things like Gestalt therapy, which is a method where you are imagining the person is sitting in front of you on a chair and you are talking to that individual, because you've never been able to do that. There's attachment therapy, looking at the different levels of attachment and how it affects you as you've progressed and developed as a person. There's bereavement therapy, looking at how you experience loss and grief. So you can see there's so many different types of counselling, and you can have a counsellor that can do a range of those things. And it's important to understand also there's new thinking around the way in which the brain processes trauma. There's trauma therapies, a variety of different trauma therapies. There's solutions focused therapy, looking at therapy based on solutions and a much more pragmatic and practical approach. There's therapies, there's acceptance therapy, helping people to come to terms with things and actually focusing the direction of accepting a situation or a problem. So there's a whole raft and variety of models, and particularly looking at how the brain processes all of the different experiences and the different challenges that we all go through. Are you with me so far?
Yeah, we're with you. I mean, it makes sense that there are different types of counsellors. I mean, that would make sense because everybody's got unique needs, haven't we? It's individual.
Yeah.
One size that fits all.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that appears to the thought of therapy, psychotherapy, psychology, counselling can seem a bit scary to people because they don't know what it means and they have preconceived ideas about what it means. So one of the questions is, why does counselling seem so scary and frightening to people? I don't know if you've come across people who've felt that before, but what's interesting is that most people, before they go to the stage of counselling to work through whatever problem it is, they wait till they're almost at crisis point or are already in a crisis point. Now, of course, it's natural that you want to try and work through things yourself. And, you may get help from family and friends. You may sort of want to talk things through and so on. But what you'll find is people wait until they're really at a bad place, sometimes for quite a long time. We're not just talking about a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It could be many months. It could even be years before someone has seen a negative impact on their life. And they may even decide that counselling can't help. But one of the reasons why people are reluctant is because they feel afraid of it. And the question is why. And one of the key things that people feel afraid of is a fear of being judged and feeling vulnerable. You're going into an environment with someone who's a complete stranger. Some people may feel that's actually good because they don't want family and friends to know their business, as they call it. And it's nice to go into a neutral environment where you're not judged and you feel a sense of you can actually talk to someone. But before you get to that point, most people feel quite afraid because they're not sure, how is this person going to view, how are they going to view me? How are they going to view what I think? Am I ill? Does this mean all these different things? So, and it feels strange to a lot of people to talk to a complete stranger because they don't know what they're going to do with that information. So I would say, actually, it's a stigma around being judged because if you break your leg, nobody's going to judge you for breaking your leg. You've hurt yourself, you've gone to the doctors. If you've got toothache, you go to the dentist and you get yourself your tooth seen to. You go to the hospital, you get a plaster of Paris put on your leg to straighten your leg. Somehow the thought that mentally and emotionally there might be something wrong actually is what causes the fear to prevent people from going forward to seek counselling. And it's a real shame because although we are all talking about it a lot more, there's still a little bit of anxiety around taking that step. And I would say to people, the way to look at it is like this. If you've lived with a negative situation and it's affecting you mentally, or you're processing things from the past and you're not working through it, that's having more of a negative effect on your life in the long run than if you was to see a counsellor and a therapist to help you actually work through some of those issues. It affects you in relationships. It will affect you with your future career. It will affect you even financially, because some people may hold lots of limiting beliefs about their abilities, about their capability, about who they are, lots of fears and issues that have held them back. Some people may have felt hurt in the past by someone and not able to forgive them, not able to work through the loss of someone and so on. So these things actually hold you back in real terms. So see it as an opportunity to have that private one-on-one space to work with someone like myself that can really help you through putting things in perspective, getting you to rethink looking at something in a different way that is a stepping stone to a better goal for yourself. So, you know, it's more of an opportunity rather than something to fear.
I think that's great, Primrose. And I think that when people approach, I know in America, a lot of people look at it like a doctor, a counsellor, like I'm going to see my counsellor about this. I'm working on my emotional well-being. But over here, we've got a lot to learn regarding counselling. And I think people don't know where to start. I think if they go to see a counsellor, think, well, why am I here? I know I need to be here, but where should I start? And I think when people are advertising counselling, they should be using words like facilitating reflection, emotional healing, achieving wellness, and restating a sense of inner peace. And I think those words come true to a lot of people because that's what we want, that inner peace. It's about packaging that hurt, as you said, put it in a box and throwing it away, or putting it to a place where they feel that they've dealt with it, they've talked about it. A lot of people counselling, well, if I speak to somebody, how is that going to address how I really feel? If I'm talking to somebody, how can it address that hurt of me being hurt by that person? You know, or losing somebody, how can it replace how talking, what can it do? It's about getting that across, that counselling does actually help with that to somebody, using different techniques to address that hurt. What would you do when you really do feel hurt? And that pain, and you use different techniques to help to address that hurt. So it's not only talking, it's facilitating different types of techniques. So it's looking at that and getting to people that talking does help. But a lot of people don't know where to start. They say, well, where's she going to go? Is she going to go in my childhood? But I don't want to go into my childhood. My problems only started as an adult, you know. And how private is it? Should I go to somebody that I know? Should it be somebody I don't know, as you've just addressed and spoke about?
I'll be certainly touching on some of those very key points, because these are some of the things that people, you know, it's created a little bit of hesitancy for people. And you're absolutely right, Dahlia, because one of the things I say to people, you know, you're trying to find a counsellor or you want to work through a problem. The key thing that counselling and psychotherapy is there to do is to help you work through a problem that's affecting you mentally and emotionally, regardless of the technique, of the approach, of all the strategies and the methods. That's really secondary. What the person wants is exactly what you said. They want to be able to deal with a problem. They want to be able to face something without fear anymore. They want to reduce their anxiety. They want to feel a sense of relief from the stress that they're going through. They want to feel peace of mind and be able to actually say, oh, I didn't realize that I'd held this for so long. That's what people are looking for. And your mental state, your mind controls everything about your life. It controls your body. You know, the mind and body work together. They're like this. And sometimes people forget actually what's going on here is going to affect what's going on everywhere else. And your mind and your state of thinking determines the direction of your life, the decisions that you make, how you feel, what you do, how you cope. It's such a key thing. And I think it's almost as though in society, they'd almost thought, there's this idea that somehow your mental state didn't matter, only until now recently people are realizing actually this is really important, because everything that happens in our lives is as a result of our mental thinking and processing and so on. And if that's not taken care of, you know, you've got people living actually very dysfunctional and difficult lives, and, you know, unresolved hurts and pain, and, you know, it affects everything. That's
what they say, that stress can manifest itself in ailments, can't it? You know,
totally.
You're not, you know, when you're really stressed, you can just, you know, and it, you know, it becomes physical, doesn't it? Manifests itself in a physical way. So, you know, there's a very sort of like, as you said, the strong links between the mental and the physical,
Yeah.
and our mental and well-being is intrinsic to how we are.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why, with my particular method, combining the counseling, coaching, and spa treatments, is because it's ironic that whenever, you know, I've met with clients and stuff in the past and even recently, people instantly talk about how they feel physically as a result of what's going on mentally. And with the spa treatments in the hotels, what I'm trying to do is create a sense of, actually, I'm speaking to a counselling service and I'm getting an enjoyable experience at the same time. So it's something to kind of look forward to. It's something that nurtures you. It's something that's taking care of you in a holistic way. So yeah, that, you know, feeling judged is one of the key things for a lot of people. And I want people to feel reassured that in counselling and therapy, you're not there to be judged. That's not the role of the therapist. The therapist is there to help you work through whatever might be going on that's affecting your mental wellness. And then that in turn affects everything else in your life. So one of the other questions is, if I see a counsellor, does this mean I have a mental health problem? What do you think? Can't hear you, Rosie.
I think a lot of people would think that, wouldn't they? They just think that to see a counsellor means that you've got a psychiatric problem. They're equating it to psychiatric sort of mental health, as opposed to the fact is that, you know, a counsellor is somebody that's not necessarily, and it's not going to go on your sick note. You know, they think it's
yeah. Sorry, Dahila, you had a point as well.
Yeah, basically, I don't think you've got mental health problems. I think that counselling should be looked on as like going to the doctor.
Yeah.
I think it should be there for everybody to access. I think everybody should have a counsellor at some point in their life. If it's, you know, somebody has passed away, you've had a hard job, there's lots of different reasons why, you know, you're divorced, you've just got married. There's many different reasons. You've had a long illness, and you can't cope with it, or you're learning how to cope with it because it's a disability. You're newly disabled. It could be that you've just had a child and it's postnatal depression. There's so many different you've just started a new business and you're stressed, you haven't got any more time for yourself. There's just so many different reasons somebody should have a counsellor, and it just helps you to reorganize. And I think it should be looked on as reorganizing your feelings and your thoughts.
I just love the way she says that. I just love the way you say that. And that's perfect, because if people kind of put aside the stigma and think, oh, you know, I'm going to be judged and so on, that's just a natural defense mechanism, because they're afraid of what it means, because they're still trying to understand and learn the benefits that it could have. So I'm hoping to kind of break some of that stigma by explaining it a bit more softly to people, that, you know, you're not interested in what techniques I'm applying or what methods. You just want to know that it works, and you want to know that you're going to be listened to and somebody cares about what's going on for you, and you could actually get some good benefits from that as well. There's been some research done. I haven't got the statistics on me at the moment, but, you know, I've checked out some research, and they were saying that the talking therapies is actually seen now as more effective than just medication therapy. And some people may need medication and the talking therapies, but they've noticed that it can be just as effective, if not more so, than medication alone, because medication isn't going to deal, it kind of dulls the senses and kind of slows things down a bit, but the talking therapies helps the mind to work through things and to come out the other side. So you start to look at things in a different perspective, you get a bit more balance, you can start to feel a lot more hopeful, because you've got different ways in which you can tackle things, and also being able to say to yourself, well, I've got so worked up about this, and actually maybe I did need to. Nowadays, people, there's such a high level of anxiety and depression, but anxiety in particular, that even simple everyday things triggers immense anxiety in a lot of people, when really that level of anxiety should only be if your life is in danger, not for everyday things. But people haven't learned how to manage themselves when they've got challenges and difficulties. So in answer to the question, does this mean I have a mental health problem? I would say no. It's not the case at all. Majority of the time, it's actually not the case. And it's actually common for therapists and counsellors to speak to people who are suffering with stress and anxiety and depression and so on. They are symptoms. They are symptoms of the beliefs and the thought process of what might be going on for you that actually could be corrected if you allow. But sometimes it can go into a mental health problem if symptoms are left for far too long, because what we've got to understand is that which is why there's a lot of neuroscience now, neuro treatments, because they're recognizing that the brain physically gets overloaded with cortisol, and after a while it literally burns out. I wouldn't say literally, I mean not physically burns out, but it causes such a lot of stress on the brain that it starts to find it difficult to know how to reason and how to work through problems, because it's just got too much of the stress hormone. So neuroscience is saying people actually need to deal with issues far sooner rather than much later. So you don't want a stressful situation to become a mental health situation. So I always say deal with issues sooner rather than later. Like in America, like you were saying, I'm going to talk to my therapist because, you know, I've got this issue that's going on, and it's not a big deal. It's like going shopping, you know, it's like talking to your friend, but your professional friend. Okay, so how does counselling help? Right, people seek counselling. One of the key things that it helps you with is your belief system and your thought process. Now, that's quite pivotal. There's that saying that if you believe you can or if you believe you can't, the brain doesn't know the difference. It will just think it's true either way. If you think that if I get in this car, I'm not going to be safe, and you start to build up an idea that every time you go into a car you're going to be harmed, then everything that you're going to do is going to be featured around that, which is why a lot of people develop kind of coping behaviors like OCD behaviors or eating disorders, because they don't know any other way in which to cope with that thinking and belief system. So what you'd find is that it helps to just deal with the thinking and the belief. It helps to kind of rebalance that, and it's tested out. I practice mainly cognitive behavior therapy, and I do the more in-depth level where you also get to do little bits of homework to help you to work through some of those, to test it out. And I find that people have realized, actually, I could cope with this, and I have dealt with this really well, and I've forgotten that I can manage better than I thought. And it's there to build confidence, to build your self-esteem, to help you find better coping skills, and for you to actually feel a sense of you've got better goals and a future that you've got for your life. So I know time is running short, so I've just got a few more, just about 3 more questions here. So the question is, how do I choose a counsellor? Now, we've already covered the stigma side of things. I would say definitely, if you don't wait until there's a crisis. One of the things that you can do, as you mentioned earlier, Dahlia, people think, where do I start? You can go to your local GP. First of all, if you've got a problem, speak to your GP. Now, not everybody wants to do that. They want to keep things private, and they're worried about things being on their medical records. But go to your GP and let them know that you'd like to have some counselling for whatever the problem might be. And the NHS offers 6 free counselling sessions. Now, one of the things that you need to also be aware of, there could be many people calling themselves counsellors, you know, and I can counsel you, da 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 da. Organisations like the BACP and the Counselling Directory is where BACP in particular is a registered body. Like us as social workers, we have to be registered, and like doctors and nurses, you have to be registered. To have that.
The abbreviation of BSB was, what was that?
The BACP, which is a British Agency for Counselling and Psychotherapy. And you to practice as a counsellor, you have to be registered with a body like that. There's a psychologist group as well. I forgot the name of those, but you need to be, counsellors need to be registered, and they need to have a recognised qualification and experience. So they can't really be registered unless they can demonstrate that they are fully qualified to be counsellors and psychotherapists, and they've got so many hundreds of hours that they've practiced. So when you're choosing a counsellor, one of the things to think about is ask the question, you want to know how they work. Because what I've heard from people is that they go and see a counsellor, and for example, person-centered counselling is where the counsellor says very little, and the client comes in and they sit down, and then they just ask the client to start talking. Now, for some people, that's really uncomfortable because they don't really understand what's going on. They just think, well, what do I say? What do I do? You know, whereas CBT is much more structured. So the counsellor will explain what they are doing, CBT therapists, and they will explain the purpose of the counselling and how it works. And they interject with a variety of questions, and they also set out plans and goals as to what you want to achieve and how that can be done. So if someone's going in for counselling, before they do that, it's good to check out with people first, get a free consultation as well, ask for a free consultation, and ask them, you know, how does your therapy work? What can I expect from it? How many sessions will I have? How frequent should we meet? And so on and so forth. And a good therapist would be able to answer those questions for you and invite you to want to know a bit more about it before they go ahead and before you decide to go ahead. You want to feel a good fit. You want to feel like you connect with that person, and that person kind of gets you. They understand instantly. They can feed back to you what they can see is the issue. And that goes on to the next question, what can I expect? You should actually expect significant positive outcomes. Now, I know a lot of therapists feel that they can't do that. They may worry about being able to say that, but I would say if somebody's coming to me for therapy, they're not coming just to offload and talk about their issues. They want to know, can you move me from this negative place to a much more healthier state of mind? And that's the direction, as they call it now, the direction of travel. That's the route that a therapist should be taking you, from A to B to C to D. And as a client, you should feel and know that that journey is happening because that person is taking you through the problem out the other side. Now, they can't necessarily fix the issue that you're going through, but they can help you to work through how you're managing it. So you should feel positive change. Now, some of the clients I've worked with have all said, a lot of people, actually, I think everybody has said they very quickly feel a level of confidence that they hadn't felt before. They start to feel much lighter in themselves. They feel a sense of the burden being lifted. So that gives me an indication that they are moving in the right direction and moving in a good place. And the other question, final question, because I know we're running out of time, is there a fee? Now, if you go for 6 sessions through the NHS, that's free. A lot of people are looking to have it privately because sometimes the waiting list can be 6 months, a year, or even longer. And you're in a mental state that is really not healthy for you to stay there that long. Now, if you're paying for therapy, one of the things that people do ask about, oh, how much does this cost? Is it too expensive? Da, 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 da. The way to look at it is the value should be about what value am I placing on my life, on my mental health, and on my future life. So it's about not necessarily the cost of something, but about the value that you will gain and the value that your life will have exponentially much further down the line, rather than something, you know, people have already paid too high a price for staying in a really poor mental state for a long time. So when you quantify it like that, let's say a therapist charges £200 and they may think, oh, that's a lot of money. Actually, how much has it already cost you to live really distressed? You can hardly work, you're running into poor relationships, it's affected your health. So when you look at it like that, you say, so actually the cost that I've already paid is already too high a price. And it's about what is it worth to me to take care of myself so that I can actually start to live a much better and healthier life. So I hope I've answered some of those questions. And I've raced through some, but yeah.
Two really brief questions, Primrose, and one is that how important is it to go to a therapist that represents you? Is there mileage? Does it matter if they're white or female? Or I mean, obviously, there's some situations where you may not want to go to a man, or you may not just want a woman. But is it important? And is it easy to obtain a counsellor that represents yourself?
I would say, especially, I mean, we're on Sista Chat, so if you're looking for a black counsellor, there's a counselling directory, and the BACP has dozens and dozens and dozens of counsellors. And a lot of counsellors now are online. I'm online. I'm also work face-to-face. And you should be able to find someone quite easily that represents you. And it's an important question because people don't want to have to explain. If you're a black person and let's say you've been really stressed for a long time because of the impacts of racism and discrimination, you don't want to have to explain that to a white counsellor who doesn't really understand that experience. So, you know, black counsellors, you know, everybody will come from a slightly different angle, but at least you feel you can relate and you can connect. I worked in a counselling service for a number of years in Lewisham, and it was an all-black service. The support workers were black, the art therapists were black, all the counsellors were black, and the clients were black. And one of the reasons why they needed that was because they felt they could be understood. And they just felt that connection was more important to them to begin the process of healing, emotional and mental healing, before they could do anything else. They just didn't feel they could relate. So yes, it is important. So there's a wide variety of counsellors for all different people.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Primrose. Really, really helpful, because I think it just cleared up a whole load of misunderstandings about counselling. And
I hope it did.
Yeah, it did for me. I mean, you know, so I'm sure. So
Very
you're
good.
listening to Sista Chat Talk Show, called Talk Show for Sisters of Today. You can find us on YouTube. I'm trying to upload a lot of our previous shows, so please go on our YouTube page, Sista Chat, like, subscribe. Is it subscribe? And tick and share. So like,
subscribe and share.
Those S's have got me. So please do that. You know, when we want to up sort of like our listenerships on YouTube, and we're going to try and use YouTube a lot more. And likewise, if you are a sister out there or a brother, because you know we're not just about sisters. If you know anybody that would like to come on Sista Chat and share their experiences or their business or their good cause, and would like to come and and chat with us on Sister Chat, please get in touch. You can see the information in the background there, but you can get in touch with us on Sister Chat talkshow@gmail.com, and we love to hear from you. We're always looking for motivational speakers, and yeah, so that leads me to say tune in to LWR the last Thursday of every month. I mean, LWR has got many platforms and many DJs. And so, yeah, just tune in and become involved. There's a social media platform where you can even interact and talk to the DJs and the presenters on LWR Talk. Find us on Facebook, Sister Chat Talk Show on Facebook. We are on Facebook as well. Get to know us, check us out. You can see all the sisters that come on the show in rotation, and we love to hear from you. And it just leads me to say, Dahila Anderson, thank you so much. Primrose Roberts, these are long-standing sisters that on Sister Chat with me regularly, and it's really great, and we hope that we can keep on going and empowering a sister to empower a community, one guest speaker at a time. So Dahila,
can I let people know? Can I let people know how to get hold of me if they need?
I'm going to come to you in a minute. I'm going to come to you. So I'm just going to go to Dahila. Dahila, do you want to do a shout out? How can people get in touch with you, and anything you want people to know?
Basically, I just want to shout out to my family, my mum and dad, my husband, my children, and anybody that knows me, and those people that supported me. Thank you so much. For Cookie Box Kids, you can find me with my contact details at www.cookieboxkids.com. On my website or the SD store, and that's how you can find me, and that's where you can purchase Gigi, Mimi, and the Cookie Box range of books.
Lovely. Primrose, how can we get in touch with you? And yeah, please, any shout outs?
Oh, shout out to my children, Jermaine and Shan, and my partner Lyndon, my lovely mum, my family in Leicester, and friends, and anyone that knows me. And you can get hold of me if you want to have a quick free consultation. Absolutely no obligation. At info@bluediamondwellbeing.co.uk, and my number is 0333 4440917 or 07367 730-630, and check out the website bluediamondwellbeing.co.uk.
Thank you so much. And for any of the information, you can go onto our Sister Chat Facebook page, and you can send messages to Dahila and Primrose via that method as well. So there's loads of ways that you can contact them. So please tune in for next month. We've got a special Christmas musical extravaganza, I should say, with Kyo Brown, the award-winning jazz musician, and he's going to be doing an interview, and he's going to do playing some sets, and no doubt he's going to be talking about his new album, the Windrush album that he has out, that you can go online and download, when he will be most grateful for that. So we look forward to you coming to our Christmas special in December. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, please go on to our YouTube page. Can someone else say it? Because, you know, I'm going to get it wrong. Our YouTube page. You can
like, subscribe,
follow.
Oh yeah, follow, like, subscribe, share, and follow.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much, girls, for that. And I'll just making sure I've not missed anything out. I think that's it. So this leads me to say thank you very much. Thank you, Primrose. Thank you, sisters.
You're welcome.
And it's been a real pleasure. And we'll see you in December.
Yes, we will do. Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye. Take care. Bye.